And we now have our keynote speech. Our keynote speaker for this year's International African Liberation Day program is Berhane G. Solomon, the Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of Eritrea in Washington, D.C. Comrade Berhane is representing the work of the People's Front for Democracy and Justice, or the PFDJ. The PFDJ is the primary political party in Eritrea, continually fighting for independence and against sanctions. Welcome, Comrade Berhane G. Solomon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to apologize for coming late to this excellent, important meeting because of activities due to our Independence Day. Yesterday was Eritrea's Liberation Day, so we have been having a lot of activities. So I was a little late, and there was some communication breakdown from our side. I apologize for that too. I thank the All African People's Revolutionary Party for inviting Eritrea. Originally, the President Isaias Afwerki, was invited, and thank you for that. He couldn't make it to make a presentation to this meeting, but he sends his wishes, and he say hi for all comrades here. President Isaias is our revolutionary leader in Eritrea. He led the liberation movement, and he's leading the country also with all the revolutionary progressive ideas and values. So for this Africa Liberation Day, for us Eritreans, means a lot, and it coincides always. 24th May is our Liberation Day, and 25 May is Africa Day, and we consider our revolution, our fight against imperialism, is part and parcel of the African movement for a complete liberation. Eritrea is a country, as you may know, came out of the ashes during the colonial period, the imperialistic colonial periods. Eritrea was colonized by Italy for about 51 years, very, very long period. And Italy was defeated during the Second World War, and the British took over and colonized Eritrea for about 10 years. The Eritrean people continued to fight for their liberation, for their dignity, peacefully, but no one was to listen to the appeals of the Eritrean people for liberation, for their independence. And the worst thing came when the imperialistic powers used an African force, an African king, to our neighbor to the south in Ethiopia, King Haile Selassie. They coordinated their effort and also pushed him, helped him occupy Eritrea, and we had to fight for 30 years to liberate ourselves from the occupation of Ethiopia until we became independent in 1991. Something that we all have to learn from the Eritrean revolution, during the liberation movement, during the liberation struggle, Eritrea, the Eritrean people faced both the imperialistic powers and the socialist powers fighting against them. And we say we had to stand against all odds until those who really are like-minded, like the Eritrean revolutionary idealists, understand that Eritrea, the Eritrean people were not only fighting for just independence, but also for a complete liberation. So all liberation forces had to understand, had to learn about Eritrea, and it took a lot of time until this was perceived by progressive movements in the world. So the 30 years protracted armed struggle that the Eritrean people managed until independence, it was tough for the country, it was tough for the people. We had to sacrifice about 65,000 liberation freedom fighters to realize our independence in 1991. So 1991 witnessed that the Eritrean revolution succeeded, and all eyes were to Eritrea. Even the imperialistic powers thought that they can change the way this new African nation should think ideologically. But Eritrea, the PFDJ, the Eritrean People's Liberation Front then, and the People's Front for Democracy and Justice now after liberation, didn't break its promises and really stood for the very ideals of working hard for social justice in Eritrea, and also join hands with all Africans to liberate Africa. Flying flags itself is not liberation. When a country could be in Africa, independent, but also under neo-colonial influence from the imperialistic powers. This is what we are witnessing in Africa. From the get-go, Eritrea refused to accept any ideals of imperialism being imposed on it. And that's why for the past 32 years, yesterday we celebrated our 32nd anniversary of Eritrean liberation, and for 32 full years, Eritrea had to fight to stand for its ideals, for its progressive ideas, for its revolutionary aims, with all the imperialistic powers imposing sanctions after sanctions, and using African countries who can manage to manipulate, to work against Eritrea. And also, another 32 years, we had to fight against imperialism. And the PFDJ is leading the country, and the Eritrean people supports the PFDJ. The majority of Eritrean people support the PFDJ. And the core idea of the PFDJ's national charter is that the human being should be at the center of all kinds of development, and self-reliance is the only way people can have real liberation. People should be free of food aid. People should be free of any kind of support from the powers that try to manipulate and intervene into Africa's internal affairs. We stood hard. Still, we are facing a lot of pressure, but we are now in a better position after 32 years. Many parties, many political movements, even some countries have understood the PFDJ's movement in Eritrea, which is really standing for the people's liberation, real liberation. So in Eritrea, the women's right is a central issue. In Eritrea, the power is for the people, and all what we do have to be benefiting the people, the masses in Eritrea. The main theme of the PFDJ is in Tigrinya, Awat Nahafash, that's one of our languages. In Arabic, it is An-Nasrul al-Jamahir. In English, of course, victory to the masses. We are fighting for the masses to gain power, to be beneficial of all of the resources of the country, and we stand by our principle of self-reliance. We do not want anyone to dictate us on how to administer our country, how to administer our issues, how to manage and administer our resources. This is Eritrea, and Eritrea always tries to join hands in Africa. Eritrea stands for the Pan-Africanism. Eritrea stands for African liberation, and we still think the Africans have to come together with a very progressive and socialistic ideas so that we can change Africa forever. So Africans by nature, we believe, as it is the reality in Eritrea, we Africans by nature are socialist. Our culture, the way we live, the way we cooperate, the way we manage our own affairs within our own cultures is really equitable. But then the colonial era, the colonial powers came, corrupted Africa. They changed it into a mechanism by which they can manipulate Africa, use its resources, divide Africans, and use Africans to oppress Africans. So this is the time now where all Africans should be awakened and work together. Not only people in Africa, but worldwide. The people who foster the ideals of socialism, the ideals of revolutionary changes in Africa, the changes in the world have to come together and work hard. So Eritrea, the PFDJ stands for all these values, and we try to practice them against all the orders. We believe we are making progress, but also we really want to work hard in cooperation with all like-minded people in Africa as well as throughout the world. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be part of this session and be part of this discussion with all comrades. I'm also happy to accept any questions and answer if I can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade. That was wonderful. So we have closing remarks. We have closing remarks happening. Thank you, Comrade, for representing Eritrea and the liberation movement. Thank you, Comrade. That was wonderful. So we have closing remarks. We have closing remarks happening. Thank you, Comrade, for representing Eritrea and the liberation movement.